Hi, Kalidas here. Thanks for joining me today. I want to make a fairly full showing about how to stretch the piriformis, which is a hip rotator. It's an outer rotator, which means that it makes the hip roll this way out. And it's located here. It's kind of not everybody has it, but there's a hollowish point area on the side of the glute. It's where if you get a massage, it's where people dig in the most. It's a really wonderful stretch. There's a piriformis is right here at the kind of slightly above the very middle of that hollow point for most people. Bodies vary. There's another muscle below that will also get stretched. It's a very nice stretch for it as well. But the piriformis is the main focus that we're going to be looking at. And this is going to help a lot of people for a lot of different things. Mine's been giving me a little bit of an issue lately, and just getting tight. I stretch it, it's no big deal. But for demonstration purposes, we'll see how well it's doing. I stopped stretching it for a few days to see if it would tighten up again. So we'll find that out together in a moment here. So anyway, the other thing that the piriformis is responsible for is sciatica. If you have sciatica, it's because your sciatic nerve passes through the body of the piriformis. This doesn't happen with everybody. Not everybody's sciatic nerve passes through the piriformis. But if it does, and your piriformis tightens up enough, then it's going to squeeze that nerve, it's going to impinge on it, it's going to cause pain. It's that pain that runs down the back of the leg. And it varies where it runs down because, of course, where the nerve runs is different from person to person. So anyway, we'll start with the gentlest, simplest one. And for these, you kind of need to hold them for a while. And there's a complication that can happen when you hold a pose very long. So the first one, we're just going to bend the knees up, feet on the floor, and just drop the legs over to the side. And you relax your body over, let your upper body come over your shoulder blade. Oh, this is a standard twist, but we're going to hold it for a while. And I don't know if you can see it on the video, but this knee is not going down very well. I'll show you about that in a moment, a little more. So anyway, I'm just going to lie here. And when you first start doing this, you might just go for a minute or two and then go over to the other side. And when I go over to the other side, this knee drops down further than this knee dropped down on that side. So that tells me my piriformis has tightened up some in the last few days. So goody, we get to see how that works. So anyway, when you hold this long enough, you'll start to feel it over here on the on this side in that hollow point. It's not hollow in this position, but it's right here in the middle of the butt. And you'll start to feel that tensing up in there. Now the knee drops over a little further. So it's already loosening up. It's not that bad because I've been working it. So this next one is actually a psoas stretch. The psoas muscle travels from the inside of the spine, the lower back. It travels through the body and comes through about right here. Belly button's here, the side's over here. Comes through the body, around the hip point, the inside of the hip point, goes around, should be on this side, into the upper inner thigh. It's a very deep muscle. It's the deepest muscle in the body. It's the only muscle that connects the upper and the lower half of the body. It's a very important muscle. And I have a book on stretching the psoas, so maybe I'll make some videos on that as well. But that's not what we're going after. But if you have a tight psoas, it's going to limit the stretch you get on the piriformis, as you'll see here in a moment. So anyway, as I said, this is a great stretch for the psoas. So what I'm going to do is basically the same thing, is drop my knees over, but this time I'm going to take this leg out of the way. I'm going to drop this knee over as far as I can. This is the left one. I'm going to the right. And I'm going to take this foot and press down on this knee. And the knee is not going to necessarily go all the way to the ground. I'm just using the weight of my foot. I'm paying very close attention to where I feel any tension, and I'm feeling it here in my lower back, right where the hip comes into the lower back on the side. It's not a bad tension, but I'm noticing it because we want to be very careful not to hurt ourselves. Now this is the same. You want to hold this for a fair amount of time. You'll start with a minute or two at the most and build up. You can hold this for 5, maybe even close to 10 minutes, but not too long, because what will happen is that some of these inner muscles on the other side of this will tighten up. And when you come up out of it, you may notice as you start to come up, that hurts on the inside. If it does, then you probably have that a little too long. And what I recommend is, before you even start to lift to come out of this, is to just go ahead and help that knee up a little bit. You can use your foot. If you can reach it, sit up and just help your leg up a little bit so you don't have to use the muscles. That will most likely loosen up in just a few seconds. Just a little moving around will probably loosen that up for you. Okay, so now the big test. Let's see how the size does the piriformis over here. Oh, that's already loosened up. Okay, so I've dropped this over, put the foot here, and the knee is going down just as far as the other side did. So a little bit of a tension I felt the other day is just not there right now. Now, a couple of other things you can do here. You can adjust things around. I'm big into moving in the poses, and I'll show you more of that here in a moment. But you can try moving this foot closer to you. That may bring a little more of a stretch into this area. You may try moving it further away. Now, when I move it further away, I feel the tension more on the inner hip here in the front. When I move it back, I feel it more here. This is going to vary. You want to find what works for you. What's the best position? Where are you getting the stretch? So what happens in your body? So again, you can hold this for a little while. This left leg is just going to relax. And I was holding it up. So I'm paying attention to you and not my body. So pay attention to your body, please. We want to be very, very careful on all of these activities so that you don't hurt yourself. So everything relaxes, and as I relax, even for a little while here, I can now tell that that tension is there just a little bit in my piriformis. I can feel the stretch intensifying a lot quicker than it did on the other side. So that just tells me that there is still something going on in there for me, and I just probably just need to continue to stretch it. Of course, if you know me at all, you know that I'm a holistic healer, and I look to find the root cause of issues like this. So I just haven't looked at this myself for what's going on in we're our own worst patients. So I haven't looked at this of what's going on, what's causing this. I'm sure there's a root cause that I can clear, and it'll quit being a problem. But in the meantime, I don't mind stretching it, so I've been doing that. So anyway, again, I'm holding this for a while. Yeah, I'm not feeling any tension when I come up because I haven't held it that long. But as I come up, I notice this. I feel this piriformis here a little bit. I can feel that area, and I can feel that it did get something happening to it. So that's good. We had some success there. Okay, let me fix my mic here a little bit. The next one we're going to do is out of lunge position. If I can ever get this to clip. Yeah, just put it in the pocket. Okay, lunge. I'm going to start with, I'm just going to show you one side. So I'm going to start on the side where I have the problem. Not really a problem, more of a project. So I'm going to go into lunge, center myself up on your camera for you there, at least a little bit. And lunge, you want a couple things about lunge. We're going to be doing knee down lunge. Knee up lunge is very different. In knee up lunge and in general poses, you want to keep your knee over your ankle. So if you do, you can work this. Actually, I will show you this one working, doing this with the knee up. So we'll do that in a minute. So you want to keep that knee over the ankle for the safety of the knee. And that's in this direction, front to back, and also side to side. And we'll be going off to the side, but we're going to do that carefully. And So first of all, in lunge, one of the best stretches for lunge that I like, two things, is just straight from lunge, different from the psoas. Although I'm starting to feel it in there a little bit. I mean, piriformis, I said psoas, is release the hips straight down. So that releasing the hips straight down starts to give you a stretch under here already. I can feel it on my upper, towards the inner thigh and back. So that's one. The other is to shift this knee forward. Now, I said knee over the ankle, but it can go as far as being over the toe and still be safe. With the knee down and back, you can go further than that. So as I shift that forward, this knee is going to just kind of roll over the skin a little bit, and it's going to achieve a place where it just stops. It's not going to move any further. And I'm going to pay very close attention to this back leg. I'm feeling it closer towards the groin. Usually you feel it more in the front of the thigh. So as I shift that knee forward, then that stretch is going to increase. So pay very close attention to this under area so you don't overdo that. And just get the arm out of the way so you can see maybe a little better. Now I'm also feeling this in the piriformis a little bit. That's getting there. That's activating that a little. Now I'm going to back off of that because that groin is starting to really feel it, and that's what you want to pay close attention to in the groin. You can overdo that one very easily. So now I'm going to drop this knee over, and I'm going to roll up on the outside edge of this foot, so the foot rolls over, and I'm going to move around. And what I'm doing is I'm moving around slowly until I feel it in that piriformis. So I already felt it right there. I go over here a little too, that's bringing it back on. Right there it's gone. Right there it's back. I'm moving towards the wall here behind me. As I move back towards you, there it is, really good. It's getting stronger, stronger. I'm just moving very subtle, small amounts. Stronger, stronger, stronger. Really nice. And that's really good. I feel it really good there. So this is going to change. It's going to be however it is for you, but probably it's going to be very similar as you move towards that side, the side of the leg that you're working with. You're going to bring that stretch in a little stronger into that piriformis. And the other thing you can try is shifting your body forward a little. You might need to slide your back leg forward a little bit. And there it is. Let's move that. Move this stretch up a little bit so it's kind of more in the top part of the hollow there. Could still be in the piriformis. Actually, there it is now. As I hold it a little longer and relax into it, then that stretch comes in a little stronger. So you see how all of this changes with a little movement and a little holding time. So now I'm going to move towards the camera again, towards you a little bit. This knee is just a very few inches off the floor, and the stretch is becoming very strong. Now, another comment here is that I'm very limber in the hips here. I'm much more limber than most people, and especially women. Women aren't going to have, and in general, won't have near this flexibility. It's just simply because as they reached puberty and their bodies grew, their hips grew wide, and that causes muscles to be tense. The same thing that happened with me when I grew tall and my hamstrings got pulled long, and now I'm not as flexible in a forward bend as most women. So that's just because I grew tall. It depends on how you grow, where you grow, as to where your natural flexibility will and won't be. Okay, so let's examine this a little bit on this side. And I'm going to change this over just a little bit. I'm going to work this just a little bit here on this side. I'm feeling around for where I feel the stretch. So I'm going to rotate my body around a little bit this way. I'm rolling it. There it is. See, now I found it. This is very different than the other side. I'm kind of pulling my torso towards you, towards the camera there. And that's bringing it in. I wasn't paying attention. I'm not relaxing that left leg, so now I'm relaxing it. Breathe into it a little bit. Let that release even more. And there it is. It's starting to work into that piriformis. I can feel it much. Oh, now it's getting stronger and stronger. Now, realize that as that stretch becomes stronger in that outer hip, the inner hip is going to come into a reaction. And I can already feel that starting to happen. So that when I bring this back, when I bring this leg up, if I held that much longer, this inner hip area, the groin, would not be happy. It would actually be a little bit uncomfortable. So if you find yourself getting stuck in that position and it's like, okay, if I move, it's going to hurt, just slide this foot towards you. If you need to, use your hand. That takes a little strength because you have to support yourself with this hand. Maybe roll over a little more and just pull this foot in. And then you can kind of let your knee down. And we're going to go right down into pigeon. Now, pigeon, it's incredibly difficult to see this angle. I've looked at hundreds of photos. I've taken lots of photos. I've tried to show the angle. And it's just really hard. You just can't see it from cameras. I don't know why that is. But because I'm very limber, maybe you can see it a little bit here. It's not here, straight in front. It's off to the side, okay? Well, that's the trick. Getting that leg over to the side. Okay. So this is standard pigeon for most people, this heel up right about where the pubic bone is. You can slide that back leg back. I already did. So when you first come into it, you might be here. You just slide that back leg back. And again, I'm going to move around and see if I can find that stretch in the piriformis. And I can't. Mainly I'm just moving side to side. There's not much movement available anywhere else. But the movement that is possible, I'm going to show you this on the other side, partly because this back hip was starting to get tight. And so you want to always pay close attention to those areas and find out where the tension is starting to happen. So I'm going to switch to this side, partly for that and partly so that I can show you better what I'm going to be doing. Well, maybe I can't show you better. I'm going to bring this foot forward. Now again, I'm very flexible in the hip. You'll see in a moment. And I'm going to go very deep into this. But right here, moving it around a little bit is going to probably work for you if this is good. If this is a good stretch, if you can't bring that foot forward comfortably, then here is going to be the better stretch for your piriformis. So because of my flexibility, I need to change that a little bit. I'm going to shift that back leg back a little, and there it is, right there already. But as I move my torso towards you again, I lose it, lose that stretch. I'm going to move it back the other way. And right about there, I start to feel it. Not a lot, but part of what's happening is I'm not relaxing as much as I can. So I'm going to relax that down a little bit. And I'm just going to start feeling around for that stretch in the piriformis. And there it is, just starting to come in. I don't know if you could tell which way I moved, but it was that way. I moved kind of that way, diagonal and back, to get that stretch in there. Okay, so that, see, I'm helping my back leg because this inner groin was getting just a little tight there, holding that. So that is probably the best stretch for the piriformis. But let's go back a little bit and look at the standard stretch for the piriformis, which is actually for the glute, but the piriformis comes into it as well. So if you had any difficulty with that at all, or didn't find the stretch right, or just wasn't feeling right to be in those positions, your muscles were tightening up on those inner hips, and the front were tightening up, or whatever, then try this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on my back, and you'll recognize this right away if you've done any yoga at all. This is a very standard glute stretch. Yeah, we'll go this way. I'm just seeing which one looks best for you. Ankle over the knee. I'm going to grab this leg. Now, I like to grab the back of the thigh. I have good knees. I can pull here, and it won't bother my knee. But I still like grabbing here, and I'll show you why here in a moment. Actually, I guess that won't matter. What I'm going to show you won't matter. So basically, that's it. Just pulling that knee in, and I'll start to stretch the hip and the glute here. Now, you also want to work this knee away from you. So you can do that with muscular strength, just using the leg strength to push that away. I pull this in. But what works best is to use your one hand, in this case the left hand, because I'm stretching the right side. This is the right leg over the ankle here. Now I'm going to use this left hand to pull this knee in, the right hand to push the knee away. And that's where I'm getting my best stretch. Now, it may be easier for you strength-wise to hold this knee or the shin instead of under the thigh, because here my arm is longer. I'm not needing, if I'm here, the bicep is more contracted. Bicep is working harder here. Here, the bicep's not working as hard because it doesn't have to pull as far. It starts to get harder the more in that arm comes, harder on the bicep. So I'll just stick to this side because that was working well on the camera. So anyway, I'll just pull that in here. I'll push this knee away. And then I'm going to start shifting around a little bit. Now I'm shifting, I've changed sides. I'm on the right side, knee up. Left side is getting the stretch. So I'm pushing this over, and where the main stretch comes, maybe I'll switch back. I hope this isn't confusing. As I switch over, as I shift my body over, as I roll it over to the side, move this knee down towards the floor, then that stretch starts to come into the piriformis for me. As I pull this knee up more, comes in a little more. There's a little trick. If you need to, you can grab that knee with your arm, forearm. Your head will need to come up. Use a pillow. It's a little more comfortable. And there, I'm getting a really, really good stretch. And in several areas. I'm getting it on the inner hip just a little bit. I'm getting it all through this lower glute into the top of the thigh, top of the outside of the thigh. And I'm getting it in the piriformis at least a little bit. So again, you just move around a little bit. Maybe move here and then stretch it. Move over here and stretch it. Move over here and stretch it. Put this knee a little higher, this foot a little higher on the knee. Give you a little better stretch. Bring the foot down. Just try that. Usually the stretch gets lost when you bring that foot down. But that's usual. It's not necessarily your body. Just find where that best stretch is for you. I'm going to try rolling this all the way over to the side. Loses out completely. Roll it over to this side. And there it is. Oops, see, that foot just kind of slides down. Just keep pushing this a little harder. For me, that works great. For you, you may hurt yourself, so as usual, pay very close attention. A variation on this pose that I really like, I don't know why. It's basically the same pose as just sitting up. And for some reason, it just stretches so much more. In this case, you want the foot to be a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet away from your hip, okay? If it's right up here, well, no, there it is too. For me, I usually lose the stretch when I'm here, but try it here first. And basically, you're just going to walk your body forward, moving your chest towards this foot. Find your best stretch. Bring that up a little more. Again, I'm just limbering the hips, and that's why I need to keep finding ways to make it a stronger stretch. And then once your chest is as close to your foot as you're going to get, straighten your back a little bit. Very slowly, very carefully. That brings in the stretch very strongly. I'm not feeling it in the piriformis. I'm feeling it in the lower glute and the upper thigh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust. I'm going to rotate around a little bit here. This knee going that way. Rotation. Bring the chest forward again. And then lengthen. And there it is. Comes into the piriformis there now. Much better for me than when I was doing this exact same position lying down. Yeah, pretty much exact same. So I'm going to try with this because it works so well. I'm going to try with this foot in a little closer. I'm not going to come all the way right away. I'm just going to come in about halfway here. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to keep that rotation this knee that way because I know that works. Just to see, yep, that works better. Straighten the back. There it is. Yep, really good stretch. Now the stretch here for me is spread out a little more. I'm feeling it in the piriformis, but also in the lower glute, upper thigh. And we'll try it with the foot in tight. This usually, for most people, loses the stretch pretty much completely, but no, there it is. I don't even have to rotate. I'm fairly squared up here, and I feel that in the piriformis. Very nice. Now I'm going to straighten the spine, and that is really good. That's a really good stretch on my piriformis. I'm very surprised. But again, that's my body. Let me know what pose works best for you. I'm very curious. I study bodies. I love bodies. I do holistic healing work. I can take any body out of pain unless there's damage. I can manipulate them and move them around. I can get them out of pain within an hour or greatly reduced. It's just one of my skills that has developed over the years. I have no idea I was heading there, but it's what I love to do. I love to work with bodies, teaching yoga, adjusting people. I do manual adjustments. It's just my thing. I just love it so much. So please let me know what works best for you. If you want to send a photo, go to kalidasa.com and hit the comments or the contact tab at the top and send me an email or a photo if you like. I'd love to see how you do the poses. If you like, if you'll let me, I'll put your photo in an article. Consider it, of course. Just give me permission if you do, if you're okay with that in your note to me. And yeah, because there's so many different bodies, so I've taken a lot of photos of a lot of people doing a lot of different yoga poses, and so you'll see some of those from time to time on my website. And just basically let me know how this all works for you. I really am curious, really like to know, and I'd like to get to know you as well. So thank you for joining, and you have a great rest of your day. Namaste.